Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Shatma Shri Guru Charana Kevala Bhakti Shatma Bandhu Mohi Sarva Jannamate Bandhu Mohi Bahara Prasade Bahara E Baba Ture Aja Bahara Prasade E Baba Ture Krishna Prapti Hoy Jai Te Krishna Prapti Hoy Jai Te Krishna Prapti Hoy Jai Te Krishna Prapti Hoy Jai Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Arana kori hoy mane asha Arana kori hoy mane Arana kori hoy mane asha Arana kori hoy mane asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati Ye Prashadi Pure Sarvanasa Ye Prashadi Pure Sarvanasa Ye Prashadi Puri Sarvanasa Ye Prashadi Pure Sarvanasa Nandila ye Janme janme prabhu se Thakur janati ye Janme janme prabhu se Devya jnana he de prakashita Yeganamide Prabhati Prema Bhakti Jayate Avidya Vinasayate Prema Bhakti Jayate Avidya Vinasayate Vedigaya Harasharito Vedigaya Harasharito Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaya Nara Bando Sri Guru Lokanath Loke Rajivan Lokanath Loke Rajivan Prabhu karo daya te hoy more padha chaya Prabhu karo daya te hoy more padha chaya Ebe jasa gusu prabhuvanna Ebe jasa gusu prabhuvanna Prabhupada patitha pavanna Prabhupada patitha pavanna Guru Deva Patitha Pavanna Guru Deva Patitha Pavanna Mahaprabhu Koro Dhoya Jai Hai More Pada Chaya Prabhu Koro Dhoya Jai Hai More Pada Chaya Ebe Jasa Gosutri Bhuvanna Ebe Jasa Gosutri Bhuvanna Ebe Jasa Gosutri Bhuvanna Ebe Jasa Gosutri Bhuvanna Prabhupada Patita Pavanna Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Nahamine Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadhi Pastya Deshita Harine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadhi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare
Rama Rama
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Ram, Krishna Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Go, Premanandi.
Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa. Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Sata Shishimara Divine Grace of Boy Charnar Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shilhari Das Thakor Ki Jai. Prem Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Guru Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shishi Radha, Krishna, Gopa, Gopinath, Shyamakunda, Radhakunda, Giri, Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Neelachal Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Shri ISKCON Vancouver Berlin Vancouver Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gorni Kai Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhamadana Mohana Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhamadana Gopala Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudasan Chakra Ki Jai. Gora Premanandi. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Brihat Midanga Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Production, Distribution, Studying, and Book Distribution Marathon Ki Jai. ISKCON Samstapaka Charja. BBT Samstapaka Charjas Divine Grace of Charnarvanda Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Prabhupada. I like that melody. It's been a long time. It's but it's a little tricky to get in the groove. Yeah. Probably just how to practice. Hare Krishna. Hearts also always end up getting nodded.
Is there any sound today? Radhe, any sound?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I just sent a message to Nitaram Prabhu. Hopefully
This
someone...
is just so bizarre every day. Thank you so much. Take it.
Should be good now.
Okay. Almost wasn't good.
Can you hear us on Zoom now?
Yes.
Yes.
We can hear them. Okay, good.
Bizarre.
Thank you. Okay. So reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, the 10th canto. 10th canto is called the Sunam Bonum. It's almost like the 10th canto is sandwiched between the first 9 cantos and the last 2 cantos, the 11th and 12th. And it's, I guess you could say it's the essence, the Sunam Bonum of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And it comprises of 90 chapters, and we're on chapter 47. So a little past halfway. Generally, you have half the Bhagavatam or Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and the other half are in
Dwarka, more or less.
yeah. I just setting something up here. Yeah. So half the Srimad Bhagavatam is in Vrindavan. A couple more chapters in Krishna's pastimes. Well, Vrindavan and Mathura. Actually. A couple of those extra chapters are in Mathura. And then the other half is Krishna's pastimes with the queens in Dwarka. And the original Srimad Bhagavatam concept that Srila Prabhupada had was a 2-volume set in a big storybook format. And then I believe it was in the 80s, maybe the late 70s, for book distribution purposes, it was a little bit impractical. They saw it as being more viable to have it in 3 volumes, even though initially they kept the same large format, but they divided it into 3 volumes. And instead of going through the different chapters, each volume started with chapter 1 going through how many chapters in each volume. I don't know that particular detail. Whereas of the original, the 2-volume set, the chapters matched the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In other words, if we were to read this chapter in the Krishna book, it would be the chapter of the Song of the Gopis, not the Song of the Gopis, but the bee, right?
Which was your taking 58?
Yeah, I'll tell you in a minute.
58 today?
Yes. The Song of the Bee. So, in any case, we're reading from the 47th chapter of the 10th canto, the Song of the Bee, and we're on text number 58. But before we recite Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, we should first of all offer our respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, the supermost human being, Narayan Rishi, unto the Goddess of Learning, Mother Saraswati, and unto the author, Srila Vyasadeva. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devam saraswatam vyasam tato jayutirayet. Shrinvata Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridyantoskya Bhadrani Vidunosit Suritatam. Krishna, who is the super soul, Paramatma, and the heart of the living entity, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who's developed an urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta preshu avidreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavate tamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular hearing, attending classes on Srimad Bhagvatam, and by rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes completely destroyed, almost to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is glorified with transcendental prayers and songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So now we're going to these verses that were sung by Uddhava, and the meter is changed. This fits the Brahma, what we generally call the Brahma Samhita meter. And so we're on text 58. So please repeat. Eta param tanu brito bhuvi gopavadvo.
Eta param tanubrito bhuvi gopavadvo.
Govinda eva nikilatmani ruda bhavaha.
Govinda eva nikalatmani ruda bhava.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayamcha.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munaya vayam cha.
Kim Brahma Janma Viranta Ananta Katha Rasasya.
Kim Brahma Janma Virananta Katara Shasha.
Eta Param Tanu Brito Bhuviko Pavadvo.
Ekta Param Tanubrito Bhuviko Pavadvo.
Govinda Eva Govinda Eva Nikilatmani Ruda Baba.
Govinda Eva Nikilatmani Ruda Bhava.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayam cha.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munaya vayam cha.
Kim Brahma Janma Birananta Katha Rasaya.
Kim Brahma Janma Virananta Katara Shasha.
Etaha. What was that?
Nothing, sorry, Prabhu.
Oh. Eta param tanu brito bhuvi gopavadvo.
Eta Param Tanubrito Bhuviko Pavadvo.
Govinda eva nikhilatmani ruda bhavaha.
Govinda Eva Nikilatmani Ruda Bhava.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo manayo vayam cha.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayam cha.
Kim Brahma Janma Birananta Katha Rasasya.
Kim Brahma Janma Virananta Katara Sasya. Etaha Param Tanubrito Bhuviko Pavadvo.
Eta Prama Tanu Brito Bhuvi Gopavadvo.
Govinda Eva Nikilatmani Ruda Bhava.
Govinda eva nilihatmani ruda bhavaha.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhuyo munayo vayam cha.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo manayo vayam cha.
Kim Brahma Janma Virananta Katara Sasya.
Kim Brahma Janmabhir Ananta Katha Rasasya.
Itaha param tanu bruto bhuviko pavado.
Eta param tanu brito bhuviko pavadvo.
Govinda eva nikilatmani
Govinda eva nikilat mani buruda bhavaha. Manchanti yad bhavabhiyo manayo vayam cha. Kim Brahma Janma Birananta Katha Rasasya. Anyone else in Zoomland? I can't actually see who's there, so.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We can do it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lucian Prabhu. Go ahead, please.
Etaha param tanu grito bhuvi gopa vadavo.
Oh, go ahead, keep going.
Govinda eva nihilat maniruda bhavaha.
Just keep going, Lucian.
Vachanti yad bhavabhiyam munayo vayam cha. Kim Brahma Janabir Ananta Katarasya. Thank you.
Eta param tanubhrito bhuvi gopavadvo.
Eta param tanubrito bhuvi gopavadvo.
Govinda eva nikhilatma niruda bhava.
Govinda eva nikilatma niruddha bhava.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayam cha.
Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayam cha.
Kim brahma janmabhirananta katharasasya.
Kim brahma janma bir ananta katarasasya.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I guess we'll go to word for word. Etaha.
Etaha.
These women.
These women.
Param.
Param.
Alone.
Alone.
Tanu.
Tanu.
Their bodies.
Their bodies.
Britaha.
Britaha.
Maintained successfully.
Maintained successfully.
Bhuvi.
Bhuvi.
On the earth.
On the earth.
Gopa Vadava.
Gopa Vadvaha.
Gopa Vadvaha.
Gopa Vadvaha.
The young cowherd women.
The young cowherd women.
Govinde.
Govinde.
For Lord Krishna.
For Lord Krishna.
Eva.
Eva.
Exclusively.
Exclusively.
Nikila.
Nikila.
Of all.
Of all.
Atmani.
Atmani.
The soul.
The soul.
Rudaha.
Rudaha.
Perfected.
Perfected.
Bhavaha.
Bhavaha.
Ecstatic loving attraction.
Ecstatic loving attraction.
Vanchanti.
Vanchanti.
They desire.
They desire.
Yat.
Yat.
Which.
Bhava.
Bhava. Material existence.
Material existence.
Biyaha.
Biyaha.
Those who are afraid of.
Those who are afraid of.
Muniyaha.
Munayaha.
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 Sages.
Sages.
Yayam.
Vayam.
Oh, excuse me, it's a V. Vayam.
Vayam.
We. Cha.
Cha.
Also.
Also.
Kim. What use?
What use?
Brahma. As a Brahmana or as Lord Brahma.
As a Brahmana or as Lord Brahma.
Janmahabhi.
Janmabihi.
With births.
With births.
Ananta. Of the unlimited Lord.
Of the unlimited Lord.
Katha. For the topics. Rasasya,
There's Sasya,
for one who has a taste.
for one who has a taste.
So I want to ask a question. This is to Radhika. It's the second
Yes.
word in the word for word.
Yes.
Param. Param.
Yes.
When
It's
I see that word-
unusual. It says
When I-
alone.
Yeah, when I think of the term param, maybe there's a long A that I'm missing or something. I think
No,
of.
no.
Is it the
it's
same word?
correct.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
same word, but these words have so many meanings. This is an unusual meaning. Usually it means highest, but here it means alone, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Like the peak. This is the peak. The peak is all alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Translation and purport by the empowered disciples of Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Uddhava sang, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives, for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana, or even as Lord Brahma himself? So please repeat. Uddhava sang,
Uddhava sang,
among all persons on earth,
among all persons on earth,
these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives.
these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives.
For they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda.
For they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda.
Their pure love is hankered after
Their pure love is hankered after
by those who fear material existence,
by those who fear material existence,
by great sages,
by great sages,
and by ourselves as well.
and by ourselves as well.
For one who has tasted the narrations
For one who stated the narrations
of the infinite Lord,
of the infinite Lord,
what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana,
what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana,
or even as Lord Brahma himself?
or even as Lord Brahma himself?
Now the purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that here the term Brahma Janmabhi, Brahminical births, refers to the threefold birth by 1. Seminal parenthood, 2. Sacred thread initiation, and 3. Sacrificial initiation. These cannot compare to pure Krishna consciousness. Om Agyanna Timinandasha Jananjana
There's
Shalakaya.
one more line here, but
Oh.
you don't have the next line. It says, in fact, Sri Uddhav, who spoke this verse, took birth as a pure Brahmana, but he deprecates this position in comparison to that of the exalted gopis.
That's not in my version here.
Okay? No harm, only charm, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yes.
That must be a more updated edition.
Yes. Indeed.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense.
Yes. It's an additional footnote. It helps to explain things. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. We'll offer a few prayers. Would you like to sit a little closer? Can you hear okay? Yeah. Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Litanjina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My eyes are being opened by the torchlight of knowledge to the medium of my merciful spiritual master. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master and unto all Vaishnav gurus. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Offer my respectful obeisances unto Rupa Goswami, his older brother Sanata, and the other Goswamis, including Raghunath Das and Jiva Goswami. Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Offer my obeisances unto Advaita Charya, unto the Avaduta Nityananda, and unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Radha Krishna Padansaha Lalita Shri Vishakavanitam Shah. Offer my respectful obeisances unto Radha and Krishna, and unto the gopis headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Jai Shri Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurabani Prachardane Nirvisheshi Shunyamati Paschachati Shatarne. And I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They're just like desire trees, they can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they're full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhu pyevacha patitanam pavanabhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Offer my obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, unto Lord Nityananda, Gadad, Advaita Charya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and all those in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the verse again. Eta param tanu brito bhuviko pavado Govinda eva nikilatmani ruda bhavaha Vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo munayo vayamcha Kim Brahma Janna Birananta Kata Rasasya. Uddhava sang, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives, for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Govinda. Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahmana, or even as Lord Brahma himself? Hare Krishna. So, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives. Now, when I read this line, I think of, there's the Goloka Vrindavan, which is in the spiritual world. All the residents there are Nitya Siddhas, eternally engaged in Krishna's service, the gopis, the maidens, the parental, etc. But here, it's Uddhava has mentioned that this is on the earthly planet. So what does that mean? Well, when we practice Krishna consciousness, we awaken our dormant eternal identity. Our eternal identity can be in any one of the relationships, rasas, from Shastra neutrality to servitude, to friendship, to parental affection, to madhurya or conjugal relationships. Conjugal relationships are boyfriend, girlfriend, and husband and wife relationships with Krishna. So these, as conditioned souls, we've lost our actual identity, spiritual identity, our eternal identity. However, when we reawaken our eternal identity, we practice, then we can go and engage in material world, a role with Krishna, and then back to Godhead. Now, I'm going to need some direction on this, but let me follow through with this, and if there's any confirmation or adjustment to what I'm saying, I'd highly appreciate it. So in this case, it appears that these cowherd men actually perfected their embodied lives. um, on the earth. Among all persons on earth, these cowherd women have actually perfected their embodied lives. So it indicates that they reawaken their eternal relationship with Krishna, but they're on a relationship. When Krishna descends from the spiritual world, we know he brings his entire entourage. Before we know this when Narada Muni was speaking with Kamsa, warning Kamsa that, you know, the demigods and the relations of Krishna, they've already taken birth on this planet, and that Krishna is going to be the one to kill you. Could be any one of Devaki's children, because they're all exalted personalities, and therefore Kamsa immediately started killing each and every child that Devaki gave birth to, in order to expedite Krishna's appearance. This was the motive behind Narada Muni's giving him this instruction, which seems kind of like, why would he do that? Why would he tell them? And then obviously know that Kamsa would kill them all. But he did that because he wanted to expedite Krishna's appearance. As soon as they're killed, then again another one. It's also noted that the 6 that were killed represent the 6 anartas: lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, and illusion. These 6 characteristics that are within it. Each one of those children represented one of those characteristics. And you know, we want to also kill those characteristics within ourselves: lust, anger, illusion, madness, etc. So we know that Kamsa was killing these sons. I forget the point I was making. Hare Krishna. So Krishna or the cowherd maidens. This is on the earthly planet. This is taking place on the earthly planet, and the gopis have attained their perfection, and therefore they're perfect. Another point in this in the verse that was brought to my attention, they perfected their embodied lives, for they have achieved perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. And their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence. That takes a little bit of thoughtfulness. What are we fearing in material existence? Well, one who is a little bit fortunate, a little bit wise, can become fearful of material existence, because material existence is, we're here because of being covered over of our real relationship. And what is there to fear about material existence? Well, let's say the material world's a wonderful place, right? Well, actually, it's not. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita mentions that it's, it's temporary, and it's full of inconveniences. Even if we have a so-called wonderful life, then it's got to end. And the more we're attached to that wonderful life and the things that we identify with, the more difficult it is when we have to give them up. If we're a great athlete, for instance, and then we get a lot of fame, adoration, distinction because of that, it's only very short-lived, right? Professional athlete at maximum can be a professional athlete 20 years. Very rare beyond that. So for 20 years, they may be on the spotlight, but then when they identify with that, being in the spotlight and being a great athlete, and then that's no longer there, it's very painful. because we're attached to it. If we're attached to it, if we're not attached to it, which is very rare, then it's not a big deal. But because we identify with material, we identify with the material body, we think I'm the doer. Prakrite kriyamanani guna karmana sarvasa. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that the living entity, we think we're the doer of activities, which are actually carried out by material nature. And due to the false ego, we think, oh, I'm what I've achieved. I'm so beautiful. It's my doing. I'm such a great athlete. It's my doing. I'm this, I'm that. But in actuality, it's just carried out by material nature. Of course, we have the opportunity to use our independence and capitalize on whatever assets we may have. But again, Krishna says that he is he's the one that actually gives us ability. I am the ability in man, he says. So all these abilities that we have are actually coming from Krishna. But the tendency is we tend to think that it's us. And therefore, the more abilities we have, the more opulences we have, the more we identify with them, the more entangled we become, and the more that these 6 anarthas grow within us. Lust, anger, right? Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that one who contemplates the objects of the senses develops attachment. And from attachment, lust develops. And then from lust, anger. You're lusting after it, you don't get it, then there's anger. Or you have it, it's taken away in anger. So from lust comes anger. And when one becomes angry, then his intelligence becomes lost. And when his intelligence becomes lost, then he becomes bewildered and he falls again down into the material world. So this idea of lust, anger, and then greed, dushpalain alinacha. Again, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the senses, they're like fire. They're like fire, and they're always burning. And if we engage the senses and the object of the senses, and in this case, we're referring to the material senses, material object, then we don't become satisfied, but we become more, they burn more. Just like when a fire is there, oh, okay, let's satisfy the fire. We'll put more fuel on the fire. But what happens when you put more fuel on the fire? It doesn't become satisfied, it burns more. So in the same way, when we engage the senses and we try to engage them more, thinking we'll become satisfied, on the contrary, they burn more, and therefore that develops greed and envy. Envy. When you have something, it's like, I just saw a statistic of going through different years who the wealthiest people in the world are. And even, it's like you're the wealthiest person today, and then maybe tomorrow you drop to the 2nd place or the 3rd place or whatever. Oh, then you may go back up. But you generally, the more you have, the more you become envious of someone who has more. It's the saying is keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, the Joneses have a new car. We got to get a new car. We got to get a better car. This is kind of like the mentality, a material mentality in the material world. Not in all cases, mind you, but generally that's you become envious. So there's lust, there's anger, there's envy, illusion. Again, as we're quoting that verse, one's intelligence becomes lost, and you end up in illusion, and madness. Madness. Who's crazy? Madness. We're mad because if you're wearing a red shirt and you're going around saying, yeah, I'm red shirt, the person will say, you're crazy, man. You're not that red shirt. So in the same way, when we go around thinking I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm black, I'm white, I'm young, I'm old, it's like we're identifying these things. That's madness, illusion and madness. So that's the nature of material world, and that creates fear. So those in fear, if by good fortune they come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, and they have good credits, right? Brahmananda Brahmaniko Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhaktalada Bish. After wandering throughout the material universe for many, many lifetimes, going up to the higher planets, coming down to the lower, etc. If one by good fortune comes in contact with a bona fide devotee of Krishna, Bhakti Lada Bish, he plants the seed of devotion within the heart. And by planting the seed of devotion, then that seed can grow. There's a conversation with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this regard, and I think it may have been with Ramananda Roy, where Lord Chaitanya, where it's being described that the seed is planted, and then you have to water the seed, just like a gardener. He takes care of the plant. He waters the seed with in this case the devotional seed with hearing and chanting. And the 9 processes of bhakti, the 9 principles of the regulated principles. Sometimes when we think of regulated principles, we generally think of the 4 restrictions: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling. We consider those regulated principles. But that's just human being. And in order to progress in spiritual life, you have to exercise the regulative principles of devotional service, which are 9. Hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, speaking about the Lord. Shravana, Kirtanam, Smarnam, remembering Vishnu, Smarnam, Vishnu Smarnam. Or Shravana, Kirtanam, Vishnu, speaking of Vishnu or Krishna. Or Vishnu Smarnam, remembering Vishnu or Krishna. Padasevanam, engaging in some devotional service, some menial service, Padasevanam, Archanam, deity worship. As we mentioned many times, deity worship doesn't necessarily mean being on the altar and offering arti, although that is certainly deity worship. But deity worship also means coming and taking darshan, seeing the deities, or honoring prasadam that's been offered to the deity. That's also deity worship. Archanam Bandhanam, prayers are very, very powerful. But prayers should be not prayers for my purpose, for my benefit. Do not ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Do not ask what Krishna can do for you, but ask what you can do for Krishna. In fact, when we're chanting the Maha Mantra, this is the purpose behind the Maha Mantra, right? We're chanting the Maha Mantra, my dear Lord, please engage me in your service. We're going to be engaged in service, so we can be engaged in mundane material service, which will keep us entangled in the material world, or we can engage in devotional service, which will bring us freedom. And freedom from what? Freedom from fear. Become fearless. Just like a child is innocent, and if a child is lost, I remember one time I got lost momentarily in a department store, and momentarily it was a little bit fearful. But then when my parents showed up, my mother showed up, it's like, oh, yeah, you feel like, oh, I'm saved. So, and if you're with your father, I remember another time, my father, we went. They had an open day where he worked. He worked as a technician for airlines, Air Canada, for many, many years. And once a year, they would have kind of like family day, and all the families would come and go through the whole, like the airport hangar, the different places where the different work is, the metal shop, this shop, that shop, the electronics shop, all the different shop, huge things where they maintain the engine shop, etc. So we go through all the shops, and we're going through one of the shops, and my father met his big boss. And my father said to me, I was just a little boy at the time, he said, "This is my big boss. This is my big boss." And I said, kind of jokingly, I said, "He doesn't look that much bigger than you. You look bigger than him." I had no fear. It may have embarrassed him, but I had no fear. As your father's holding your hand, it's like you're completely fearless. So it's the same thing. If we take shelter of Krishna, and know that Krishna is always there, because he is. He's always in our heart. Then we become fearless. But we don't become foolish. There's fearlessness, but it's not like you don't want to be, you can be brave, but don't be foolish. You can be fearless, but don't be foolish. In other words, don't put yourself in a situation where there's danger. Prabhupada was very, very cautious about, a dangerous situation. The example was when he was on the Bowery in 1966, the first place in New York, well, not the first place. The first place he stayed that was his own place. Before that, he was staying in a little apartment, little room, which was no bigger than a closet in the building where Dr. Mishra, a yoga instructor, gave him a place. But the first place he stayed in New York on his own, where he had his own, was in a loft in the Bowery. They were called artist in residence lofts, and there were, big rooms. And he was sharing it with this young man named David. And David was showing interest in Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada was grooming him. He was feeling, yeah, this boy's going to be good. But being the 60s, and not everyone, but the youth, a lot of the youth experimenting with drugs, David took some LSD and he went crazy. He started acting like a madman. And in the middle of the night, Prabhupada didn't, he's taking full shelter of Krishna, obviously, completely fearless. He got on a ship from Calcutta, coming to America. He'd never been outside of India. He'd never seen snow before. When he came to New York, he was completely alone, $8 in his pocket. Talk about fearless. He had complete faith in Krishna. That is fearlessness. But when it came to being fearless, but at the same time of not being foolish, when this boy David started to go crazy, Srila Prabhupada fled. He fled in the middle of the night, and he fled to. It's like you're living in a place on the Lower East Side of Vancouver, right? Hastings, Maine and Hastings, which is probably the most degraded area in all of Canada. So the Bowery was New York's East Hastings. And if you're wandering around there during the day, it's kind of okay, but it can be a little bit, a little bit testy. But if you go out at night, then it's really scary. And so Prabhupada fled in the middle of the night because of the fearful situation that he was in. Of course, from one fearful situation created another. And then he called one of the boys that was coming to the loft. He had his number. His name was Carl Jurgens. And Carl invited him to stay at his place. Anyway, there's so many pastimes. But the point that I'm making is that being fearless, holding on to your father's hand, holding on to Krishna's lotus feet, doesn't mean we become foolish. We also have to be thoughtful. And it says that that this love of the gopis is hankered after by those who fear material existence, even by great sages. Sometimes they don't even know that they're searching for Krishna's lotus feet. They get caught up in Krishna's impersonal Brahmajyoti, the effulgence, the Brahmajyoti, the brilliant effulgence of Krishna, which is coming from his body. We learn from Sri Upanishad. There's 2 verses in Sri Upanishad that describe that the devotee, he prays to Krishna to please Krishna, remove your Brahmajyoti, remove your effulgence so that I can actually see you. Because it's like the sun and the sunshine. The sunshine is very bright, but the source of the sunshine, the essence of the sunshine is really the sun itself. So in the same way, the essence of this white light, this Brahmajyoti, this spiritual sky, is actually Krishna, but it's so light, it's so bright, you can't see it. So even these, great yogis, who aspire for Krishna, they don't see that they don't know that that's what they're aspiring for. They just don't know that that's and most people are just in the material world being fearful. The next group of people may aspire and they may achieve impersonal realization, But for one who is a devotee, that's very rare. It's very rare to be a devotee. And then of the devotees, there's different different gradations. There's different gradations of devotees. I'll give you a little example here. I'm going to read something from the Chaitanya Charitamrita in regard to the different grades of devotees. Okay. Now, this is a conversation with Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy. And in this section, Lord Chaitanya is asking Ramananda Roy, Ramananda Roy is saying, yeah, there's different aspects of devotional service. There's Shantaras, neutrality, and then there's Dasara, servant. And Ramananda Roy is making reference to all these different situations. And then he comes up to parental. And then here he says, Ramananda Roy, this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm starting at the 8th chapter, which has the conversations with Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya. And I'm starting at, this is the Madhya Lila, the second part, and I'm starting at text 77. So, 76. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed further. And Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy says, O Brahmana, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, call her mother and suck her breasts? The favor of Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna. The favor Mother Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. So this is how fortunate Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj were. Lord Brahma, the head of the universe, the topmost living being in the universe, he couldn't attain that favor. And that's mentioned in today's verse also, that even Lord Brahma, it doesn't have that same essence of love that the gopis had. And then Lord Chaitanya says, your statements are certainly getting better and better, one after the other, but surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow, and you can speak of that as the most sublime. Ramananda Roy then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position of love in Godhead. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Leela, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women, who may be very, very beautiful according to material calculation. And then he makes a comment here. Suddenly, due to their feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among the gopis, dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus feet was smiling, and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. And that's a quote from the 32nd chapter of Bhagvatam, which we already read. There are various means and processes by which one may attain favor of Lord Krishna. All those transcendental processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. Now, this is a very important thing, because we may be thinking, I don't want anything less than to be a gopi. And I just want to be a gopi in Krishna's world. It is true that whatever relationship a particular gopi has with the Lord is the best for him or her. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for him. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. Now we know that Uddhava, he was you could say perhaps Sakya relationship with Krishna. It's Krishna's cousin, so they're equal, they're friends. So the Sakya relationship, he's very exalted. But even when Uddhava, he saw the love that the gopis had, he was completely not bewildered, enamored, awestruck, struck in wonder. How could anyone have so much love for Krishna? Back to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramananda Roy. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another. But that love, which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desires, manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. There's a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows, from the initial ones to the latter ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellows are manifested, counting from 2, then 3, and up to the point of 5 complete qualities. All the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellow. Therefore, the qualities found in Shanta Ras, Dasya Ras, Sakya Ras, and Vatsalya Ras are all manifested in conjugal love, Madhurya Ras. And then he makes the analogy, just like the qualities of material elements, sky, air, fire, water, and earth, increase one after another by gradual process of 1, 2, and 3. And at the last stage, in the element earth, all 5 qualities are completely visible. So in the same way, all the qualities of Shanta, neutrality, Dasya, servitude, Sakya, friendship, fraternal relationship, Vatsalya, parental relationship, and then conjugal. So with each successive relationship, the previous characteristic or quality is included. So included in Das is Shanta, included in Sakya, friendship, is Dasya and Shanta, etc., all the way up to conjugal or Madhurya Ras. However, Srila Prabhupada also said, and I made this comment recently, that all the relationships, the foundation, except perhaps Shanta, all the relationships, Dasya is there. Therefore, we're known as Das and Dasi, servants of Krishna, Krishna Das, etc. Because even in conjugal relationship, servitude is there. Parental relationship, it's obvious that servitude is there. In friendship, if you're somebody's friend, then that relationship of servitude is there. You help your friend, give and take relationship. And of course, in servitude, service is there. And again, just to reiterate, regardless of what particular relationship you may have with Krishna, what your Siddha Sarup, your eternal relationship with Krishna may be, that can be awakened through the process of regulated devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc. It gradually becomes awakened.